the case in which I was involved in was mentioned here. I convicted 22 defendants, all educated, well-educated men, doctor degrees, some with double doctor degrees, generals in the SS, of murdering over 1 million people in cold blood because they were Jews or gypsies. They didn't share the race or the religion or the ideology of the executioners, so they killed them, and hundreds of thousands of little children with them. And the excuse given was, well, it was self-defense. Self-defense. Germany attacked all of its neighbors, and then argues that my grandmother was a threat to Germany, had to be sent to Auschwitz to be gassed. What kind of a world did we have? What kind of a world will you have? Will you continue that kind of world? Or will you say it's enough? It's enough. Settle your disputes by peaceful means only. That is the law of the United Nations Charter. Why don't you enforce it? How do you enforce it? The mechanisms which are suggested are all good mechanisms. It's a slow-moving process because it's new. And it's very complicated and difficult. If the prosecutor wants to try somebody for crimes in Darfur, for example, where the Security Council finally said, okay, we'll give it to you because they didn't know what else to do, and everybody was agreeing that it was genocide. You have to get investigators who know the language. You have to get a country which is ready to let them in. You have to train them. They have to get witnesses who are ready to testify. You have to make the evidence credible. You have to present it in a court of law of judges who understands it. You can't do this as we did in Nuremberg. I rested my case in 2 days because I had all the documents, their reports, how many people they killed in which town. Germans were very good at that. Thank you very much. So you're dealing with a very complex and very dangerous situation. And fundamentally, the views which have been touched on by Todd as well as by Judge Walt, there is a strong body of opinion in the United States and elsewhere that believes sincerely and not without reason that the only thing that counts is power. If you've got it, use it. The rest of it is dreaming, idealism, never worked, never will work, God's eternal law, the big fish eat the little fish. And that's it. And there is another point of view. It says, no, human beings are reasoning animals. They should be able to settle their disputes peacefully. Killing people because they don't share your religion or your race or ideology is not a grounds for killing them. If you have differences, settle them by some legal and lawful means. These two conflicting philosophies go way back to the history of the Peloponnesian Wars. It's not something invented by John Baldwin. And how do you deal with it? The conclusion recommended by two previous speakers of go along quietly, try to work with them, pay attention, go to the thing, I would call it, under the present political circumstances, benign neglect would perhaps be the most sensible policy. We're going into a review conference in Kampala in next May. Aggression will surely be a hot topic, and hope that finally they will say aggression is not merely a crime, but it's a punishable crime, punishable by the International Criminal Court. With its shortcomings, I'm not the least bit worried about the prosecutor. I know him very well, and I say, Luis, move faster, go faster, come up with a case. You don't want to be the, after 9 years you go out of office and you haven't lost a case because you haven't won any. So, don't worry about them. I don't worry. I know the difficulty in how they got in. So let me conclude. It's a complicated business. If you are really interested in it, study the subject. I've given you a lot of materials right here. Look at my website. There are legitimate differences in points of view. They've got to be respected politically, since this is sponsored by Senator Dodd. And I'm also grateful to John Washburn for being a sponsor here, because they, as he managed to, oh, he's hiding behind me, okay. Nice to see over my head, I know. What should we do now? I agree basically, now is not the time, because of our own economic problems at home, to start beating the drums and make ourselves vulnerable to the type of attacks which Bolton succeeded in getting through our Congress, despite the ridiculousness of some of those laws, which brought us into contempt throughout the world. I have no time to go into the detail. Let it rest a while. Watch it, send observers, if you will, not there to simply protect all of our interests. We are adequately protected by the existing statute, complementarity, if we want to try it. Just adopt a new law in America saying all the provisions of the Rome Statute are punishable in the United States. Finish, the court has no more power over the United States. Easy solution, if you wanted it. They don't want it, there's the trouble. They want to maintain their sovereign right to kill their neighbors, because that's been part of our history. I say it's not, shouldn't be part of our future history. So, easy, I agree, do nothing for the time being, watch it perhaps, make constructive contributions wherever, but don't kill the idea that there should be an amendment saying the provision which says the court cannot try this case are going to be lifted, and the court will be able to try cases of aggression as a possible deterrent, even to a small extent. It's worthwhile. If you can deter any war, it's worthwhile. For example, assuming I'm through, Saddam Hussein attacked Kuwait. Iraq committed all the crimes in the book. Aggression, clear case. Friendly neighbor Arab state, war crimes, crimes against humanity. I wrote a law review article. I said the thing to have been done, Security Council resolution, authorized states to restore peace in the area, as well as to drive the aggressor out. We didn't do that. We stopped, and what happened? Imagine if we had put him on trial and sentenced him for all of those crimes. I could have done that in one day, not 2 days that it took for the Einsatzgruppe. 1 day, on the basis of television pictures which we now have, saying Kuwait is mine. How different would the world have been today? We would not have had your situation in Iraq. Billions of dollars would have been saved, thousands of lives would have been saved, and we would have been building the necessary institution, a link that's missing in the world legal order, a court with authority to hold accountable the others. So I hope that that will not be forgotten. I hope that all of you read my website, and I hope that you have a peaceful and happy life. Bye-bye.